All right, so we're going to texture this cube for part 2, and then part 3 we'll export everything or textures out, and then bring everything to an Unreal project. Now, to start off, I'm going to delete this paint layer, right? Because again, we're going to just cover some basics. We'll get into more detail into the brushes and things like that. For right now, we're going to look at just bringing in some smart materials and things like that, and a little bit of masking. We'll use the paintbrush for that, right? So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off by finding myself some wood. So, no, I've got some here. I don't know which ones are available by default, but I'm going to go with this stylized wood. All right, and I don't think that's something you have by default. In fact, probably I got it from here. We just go over here, we find wood. Actually, I'll just grab this one, right? So I'm going to download that, right? Then I'm just going to right click this as I show in folder. Right, I'm going to show you how to quickly bring in a material, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over here, and we're just going to drag and drop this over here, just like that. It's going to give us an import section, right? You know, because this is an SRB, SAR file, right? What I need to do first is check. I'm going to put this as a base material at the top here, right? And then you can choose. You could give it a prefix or something for searching, right? I'm just going to leave it blank since it's just wood, and you can see it already picks that up there, right? Now, I only have one, so I don't need to worry about too much. And you can also add resources there as well. Then I'm going to hit the word import, but I can choose where this goes, right? I could do my library, project, or current session, right? I'm going to do project for this guy, right? And then I'm just going to drag and drop him there, right? Now, I'm going to show, so these are the properties currently for our fill layer. So fill layer tiles infinitely, right? Well, not it currently, right? Because it's set currently to repeat. I can turn off the repeats or the tiling, right? I can have it repeat horizontally. So if I scaled that down, right? So then you can see what happens that way. I can vertically, right? So if I choose that, right? In our case, I'm going to leave it on repeat. But we can change the amount of tiling, right? I feel like we want like, I'm going to say 4, right? Oops, didn't mean to hit that. 4, right? Now, down here are some parameters that we can play with. Whoop, I don't want to do hue, right? So these are more so just a hue in that number of lines. Might cut that down some, right? I might even just turn off the normal and or height. There we go. Because, yeah, I don't want it to be that rough, right? So fills and any brush have these channels. Now, these channels, color represents base color that you see here. In fact, let's actually just go through these. Base color, right? So this is what it looks like without any light, right? Then if we go to height, well, let me turn it back on. Let's see here. I'm going to height, normal. Let's see. Well, it's a little hard to see it, but there is a little bit of height in there. It's hidden inside the map. It's a little, and then the normal, you do see the wood grain kind of, right? In fact, if I turn off just the height and hit M, yeah, I'm just going to turn off the height channel, right? So height channel is black and white information to give it height information that you see when I turn it on and off, right? Just like that. Now, I am going to change the tiling mode, though, from not that one, the projection mode from UV to triplanar to hide that there was a seam right up there, right? Well, I guess you can kind of still see it, but let's see here. There, right? And then you can play with the rotation too if you needed to, right? I'm going to leave it like that, right? Then what I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick search for paint, right? And then I can also just click over here. Base material. I want to turn off that. There we go. Because I only want to search for paint. So things with paint, right? Now I can pick like, let's see here. Obviously there's metal here, but I'm going to come over here and drag that. Now I'm going to put it on top, right? Because again, these layers work again from bottom up, right? So lowest layer, the top layer is visible, right? I am going to delete this base metal though, because I don't want that, right? Now, that's because I want this edge wear there, right? But I also want to come along here and make it so that we can see up here, right? So what I'm going to do is grab this here, and we want to, in fact, I'll actually do it this way. We can add a black mask, right? So that way, black means we don't see it, right? Where if it was a white mask, we would see it, right? But what we're going to do is add a paint layer. So if I go to this little wand here, I can add a paint layer, right? This makes it non-destructive, right? So if I were to alt-click this, we can see that it's black, right? Well, I can now come along here to our polygon section, right? And then I can go by UV chunk. So right now we have triangle, right? So, and I want to make sure we're up here is set to white. So though this is the, this is your interactive menus, right? It changes depending on what brush or item you have available, right? So you saw it changed also depending on if I had my brush available, right? Now triangles, squares, and then mesh would do the whole thing, which isn't what I want to do because I wanted the black mask. But I do want to undo and do like the UVs here, right? In fact, I'm gonna undo that, right? There. That way I can grab both sides like that, right? Now, if I hit M, actually I got that backwards. All right, so if I go back, I'm gonna hit Alt. All right, so I hit, you can tap the X key to go back and forth, right? I'm just going to actually select everything actually, and then hit X, and then I can turn those back off, right? That way I get something like that, right? Now I'm going to come back in here to do the same thing again, except for this time I'm just going to do a fill layer, right? We'll do a simple fill layer. Right, now this fill layer, we can turn on different things, so I'll go through here now, right? So base color, as you can kind of see, goes in, different colors. I'm just going to do something like this, right? And then height, well, you'll see that better if we actually put a mask on, because right now it's raising everything, right? Roughness is actually how shiny something is, right? So we can kind of see over here because of the light. There we go, right? So right there, right? And then, so black being completely like smooth and reflective like that. And then obviously you've got a more chalky type roughness that's, hard a lot there. Then technically we also have metalness. Now you've got one being full metal, right? So if I went like this, we'd have like chrome, right? And wouldn't do that for a wood block, but definitely play around with it, right? And then we'll get into playing around with normals and that when we start the TV. But in the meantime, right, this is going to be like a bit of a shiny little coat here, right? Now, what I'm going to do is actually put this here because I want to, no, I don't want it there. I want it on top. I'm going to add myself a black mask. Now, I can do it this way as well, right? So right-clicking on it, black mask, right? So masks go there, right? And then I can do, what I can do now is I can come along here, add on my paint layer, right? So you can also get that there instead of going there, whichever you guys find easier, right? And then I'm just going to click this face. Now, this fill layer, actually, what I'm going to do Just hop back over to it. So left clicking, you can click to select the mask by left clicking on it. Left clicking will select the layer as well, right? So you've got left and right sides, right? So the right side is the mask, left side is the layer, right? The same kind of goes for like your folders, right? So you've got the left side folder, right side mask, right? Say this one doesn't have a mask, it's just the layer itself, right? Now, what we're going to do now is show you, I'm going to come over here to our textures and clear out some of this. I'm just going to do like a little bit of noise, right? And I'm just going to plug that into the height, right? So that way you can kind of see what's going on here. Oh, just drop that. There we go. Right now, obviously I probably don't want something like that. Probably want something a little smoother, maybe, right? Let's see here. We'll go with this actually. That way you can kind of see what's going on. Then we'll just tile this by like 4, right? And I can do something like that. And, now, I want to grab. I'm gonna grab this and duplicate it. And put that on top. No, actually, I'm going to come back over here to this one. And I'm just going to go back to our projection here, make sure we paint this black. We'll make sure it's UV projection. Oh, I'm on white, that's why. Oh. Try that again. Go forward again. There. So if I put this to, X, turn that to black and that to black. That way, then we can see those. Right, and then we come back up here since I went too far. And then I want to make sure that this is black. And there we go. Just like that. That way both sides of my block are there, right? You can use any design you guys want for your that area, right? And then I can do another layer just like this. We're just going to make this fill layer. Then this fill layer is going to be, so I'm going to show you quickly here. We can do height. What I want to do is change this to normal, right? The reason why I want to do that, because if I turn on the height, it gets rid of it, but I'm going to put this up like this. The reason why I'm doing that is because we're going to set this to a different color, right? So this is where we can do some cool masking, right? So what I'm going to do is add ourselves that black mask up here, right? And then what I want to do is show you the text section here, right? So I'm going to hit 1, go back to our brush. Now I'm going to add a paint layer here so that way it's non-destructive to the mask, right? And you guys can use any symbol, right? So what we do here is we replace this alpha here. And then I could be like, big letter capital A or something, right? Oh, let me type it in. There we go. Shift A, there. Right, and then I can make this big by holding in my control right click, right? Now, I'm gonna get it like this, make it big. Ugh, there. And try that again. Worst case scenario, you just come up here and increase the size there. Or you could do it up here. Right here's your size, right? I'm just gonna do that, right? In fact, we'll just do there. You can also click over here, whichever way you want to do it, right? And then I could also do it on the opposite side automatically, right? And then because we're masking, we're really making it. What we're doing here is we're we're technically getting a nice information there. But what if I were to come back to our mask here? We can also add an effect, right? So if we come in here, right, we've got let's see here, filter. It's a filter, sorry, right? And then we can check our filters over here. It's this one, right? You can also select it up here, whichever way you guys want to. I'm looking for a blur, right? So what I want is right here, right? So what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to make it look like it's got a softer edge to it, right? Kind of going into it, right? Just like that. I feel like that's a little too much. I feel like I'd have to go back here to my brush. Sorry. If we had, I'd probably want to find a different letter or something, or change my background right now. Because I've been using fill layers, I can actually come back here anytime and be like, well, I don't like that. Maybe if we tile it more, and then that looks a little different, right? Maybe. But at the same time, right? Could also, back off the warp a little, make it very subtle, right? Give the idea that it's popping out, right? Obviously, I probably want to make my brush bigger or change the text size, but this will be a good start to at least get you going in the texturing side of the wood blocks before we bring it to Unreal.